You're listening to the Light Over Time podcast with David Sargent and Korey Bartos. It is July 27th, 2025. I turned 33 in like 4 days, and I'm
Join the club.
I'm dreading it.
Oh, wait, no, I'm 32. Am I 32? 1992, September 10th. What does that make me?
Yeah,
32 or
I'm
33?
barely older than you. You're going to be turning 33.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were older than me. That's fair. Okay.
I thought so too. Maybe
Yeah.
I've been saying I was older than I was for the last few years. I don't know.
Yeah, we stopped counting after like 28. It just didn't matter anymore. Anyway, it's been kind of hectic. Obviously, we haven't been like pumping out episodes like we once did, but I think David and I have both been busy. So
Yeah.
I have a couple of things to kind of talk about today. Kind of loosey goosey. We're going to start another photo share process today as well, which we'll get to mid episode. And let's start with a throwback to what are you drinking?
Oh, yes, nice. I'm finishing up the last stash of Kenya peaberry I had roasted. And I turned it into cold brew because the last stash was a tiny batch, and small batches tend to go crazy and darker than you expect when you're out of profile. So that's what I did. I cold brewed the Kenya peaberry, threw in a little bit of Honduras to sweeten it up, and it's nice.
Nice. I'm been mainly doing Strange Matter stuff just because they're local, and they did a crazy like 20% off deal for like the first 2 weeks of July, which is like that's pretty epic savings on a couple bags of coffee. So this is a what is it, a Ponte Village honey process Colombia, yeah, which
Nice.
is quite good. I think you said you've also been roasting a bit of it, right?
Yeah, we had that last year, I think, or earlier this year.
It's good. Honey process continues to not disappoint. Um, just a normal V60 today, but I also finally got a bag of decaf to try from them because I want to do espresso martinis and stuff, but I really need to stop drinking coffee at like 8:30 at night. So, well,
How's the decaf?
I haven't tried it yet.
Okay.
But I plan to. Especially I got a lot of work to do today after this episode, so I think I'm probably gonna like keep the vibes going with some decaf and not over caffeinate myself. But
Nice.
still feeling work mode because I hot coffee especially makes me feel like I'm in work mode. But
I had a buddy send me some Ruse Roast decaf that actually was quite nice. It's not often I find another decaf that I really vibe with, and it's like got this almost melon acidity to it, which decaf often loses lots of acidic complexity.
right.
So I'm happy with that. Ruse Roast is in Ann Arbor.
Yeah. I have some of their chocolate covered beans up in my cupboard right now. It used to be one of Elle's spots when she used to go to U of M and stuff and was out there. But yeah, I'm excited to try it. I'll let you know how it is. I have to try yours. I don't think I have. But yeah. Anyway, coffee. We don't do morning shows that often anymore, so it's nice to throw back to the old coffee drinking.
Yeah.
So I've had kind of a little less active shooting. I've been doing a lot of ideation for the last few weeks because I have kind of a series of projects that I haven't really released yet, like any information on, but I'm still working through them. So I will as soon as I start kind of kicking those off. Very video focused, but hopefully I am going to keep like a photography, like story photo thread through each of them, even though they'll be primarily video focused. I had a few cool experiences with some old cameras recently. You've been curious about the D300 I posted in the Discord.
Yes.
That was just in a box at work. So I was like, I should probably play with this because I didn't really do a ton with DSLRs from that era on the Nikon side. And then my buddy came to me, and he does really, really good friend, one of my best friends since high school, does like Warhammer painting. He does like the figurines and stuff, and he goes and he takes his armies and does tournaments and stuff. But
nice.
he's got like a little light box, and he's been using his cell phone, and he had this like, it had to be a 13-year-old smartphone. But he had figured out how to make the images work the way he liked them. He really liked them.
All right.
but he needed a new phone, and he has like a Google Pixel 7 or something now,
Hmm.
and he cannot make the photos look good, which is kind of hilarious because like to have it was like I think it was an old Samsung too. It's like whatever Samsung's budget phone was like a million years ago was what he was using. So the camera was never good.
Yeah.
And then he gets like shot into cyberspace through technology, getting a
Yeah.
Pixel 7, and it's like too good that the background is like kind of showing unevenness and like the it's just not working. It's inconsistent. And he
Well,
didn't like it.
s- there's something to say about Samsung and their camera app has given users full control basically over everything for a long time. They've had a good pro mode. And so if he found that consistent, in a light box, if you've got the settings you want,
Um,
pretty much never going to change, right? So if he found exactly what he wanted, he could keep it there forever. But not
well,
with these newer phones like the Pixel
yeah,
that don't have a good pro mode.
I don't even know if that's the case because the phone is so old and it wasn't one of their good ones. It was like a very cheapo phone.
Maybe not
So,
then.
but what I think probably is the case is that the camera's too good now. It's probably a combination of either being way more resolution or the AI trying to do really
Yeah.
HDR.
That's what
And
I'm thinking.
yeah, and I think the old cameras they didn't really try to do the super, you just didn't have dynamic range. And
Right.
I think these like, a black light box because he doesn't use white background, he uses black background and like some white daylight balanced LEDs probably loved the like higher contrast, lower dynamic range of that old sensor and that old phone. Um, but anyway, he reaches out. He's like, I never buy anything for myself, and I think I should probably just get a camera. Like, I want to spend almost no money. I just want to get like something that I can either, I'm gonna work with him and see if he wants to get into like raw processing. But I think like something out of camera that looks good, I can control it. And so my brain starts going. I start digging around. I was like, dude, I got you. We're gonna find you the cheapest setup to do exactly what you want. It's gonna do probably nothing else, but it's going to do exactly what you want. So I was like, man, I could go to like an old 7D. I could get like I really liked the old, I think it was the 35 mil macro. It was an EFS lens that had a ring light built into it from Canon.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and then I was looking at like their 60 mil. And I'm like trying to dig around and blah blah blah. I find a guy selling a Panasonic GH4. My first like video camera that really got me into doing a ton of video.
Mhm.
And I instantly was like, oh, I don't think he's going to enjoy using a DSLR, especially if it doesn't have good live view because he's been used to using a phone. I pretty much
Mhm.
I have to go mirrorless.
That's a good
And
thought.
and I was like, I want him to be able to look at exactly what it's going to look like on the back of the screen. I got to figure out how to get good glass with figurines. Even though they're like pseudo macro, I was like, he doesn't want depth of field. So I'm going to go check out this freaking GH4 because micro four thirds, tiny sensor, like an f2.8 on a micro four thirds versus a full frame is a very different depth of field.
Sure.
A lot more is in focus with those smaller sensors, which is pretty much what he wants. He doesn't really want a whole lot of fall off or anything. He wants to capture it really well and do it.
Mhm.
So I check it out. I pick up this GH4 for $250. It was like a
Okay.
professor at MSU, like it's in good shape. It wasn't a sketchy transaction at all. He just doesn't use it. Epic. So I start poking around. I was like, okay, worst case scenario, I can get like a 25 mil 1.7, and those are really cheap. It's basically their 50 mil, their nifty 50 for the micro four thirds because it's a 2x
Yeah.
crop factor for those who don't
Yeah.
know. Um, and I'm looking, and then I come across this macro lens that TT Artisans makes, and it's a 40 mil f2.8, which means this is going to be an 80 mil macro, but it's a proper macro with like the macro reproduction lines on the lens, so it externally zooms. It's manual focus only, and it can go to 1:1. So it, being an 80 mil, it looks pretty good at like a portrait range for like normal photos, but it also is a spectacular 1:1 macro lens. I watch a
Is
Kai.
that a prime or a zoom lens?
It's a prime. It's a 40 mil
Oh,
2.8.
oh,
Um,
okay.
and I watch a video that Kai W did. It's insanely sharp. It's like a super sharp really no like crazy chromatic aberration, like no downfalls other than that it's got a weird threaded lens cap and
Okay.
it's manual focus only, which
Yeah.
doesn't really matter because he's going to have it on a tripod and a light box. Like
Right.
you should just be in manual focus. It's $113 new.
Okay.
I
Well,
get
new.
I get one used on B&H for 85 bucks.
Okay.
So I'm into this with an SD card because I pick up a 64 gig SD card for well under 400 bucks.
Yeah.
And I get it and I start playing with it. I took a couple of photos like at work and posted some, and I was like, oh, this is going to be brilliant. Super crazy sharp. Doing like some of the machine work that we do on slides,
Mhm.
photographing that. Um, Virtually no aberration. Like it looks amazing. It's
Wow.
like competing toe to toe with the 90 mil 2.8 from Sony, like the G lens that I have. It looks
Yeah.
remarkable. So while that was the only lens I got to play with, I did get to mess around with a GH4 again. And it kind of really struck my Lumix bug that I was having because I just love the menus. I love how the
Yeah.
camera feels. I love that it shoots 4.3 native, things like that. So
It's nice when you can help somebody out in that situation where they have such a specific like set of requirements that allows you to throw out so many things to keep it in a budget like that, right?
yeah,
I just needed to do this one job. I don't need autofocus, but I do need it to look exactly the same in a specific lighting scenario. So that's really cool to be
yeah,
able to like say, I can do this for a couple $100 all in and you're
yeah,
good.
yeah. And it's, I mean,
And it's solid.
it's super solid. And again, I spent how many years? I don't even know. 2015 to like 2019, I was running a GH4 and a GH5. Love that camera to death. I love the 4:3 aspect ratio. I think the colors on the Lumix stuff is awesome. I've shared some of my stuff from like Japan and stuff on here. It's just super good. And it's
Yeah.
unfortunate that Micro Four Thirds is like kind of dying, but because I think there's so much utility in those small sensors and what you can do with certain, I mean, video specs, but also just different like glass designs. Like their portrait lens is a 42.5 millimeter to get an 85 mil.
Yeah.
And they're tiny. It's like you have like a fast 85 that's like fits in the palm of my hand.
I'm
Um,
not super familiar. Actually never used a Micro Four Thirds camera. What are like the shallow depth of field apertures for those? Are they rocking like one twos for that kind of work?
so you're essentially the crop factor works as such that you'll the equivalent is 2x. So
Yeah.
like their 50 is a f1.7. So that's going to give you what 17 times 2, like at 3.2 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You're going to get like
Is that
f.
a reason why those lenses are small too? Just the
Yeah,
physics of that?
yeah,
Yeah.
just the physics of that. Plus, like they don't have to cover a very large sensor at all, right?
Yeah.
So the
Right.
elements do not have to be that large. Their actual circle to get onto the sensor is tiny. Um, but yeah, so you definitely got to play with it a little bit. Like they made, even with a F, and it's not perfect science, right? So like
Sure.
the depth of field equivalent is roughly 2x, but you're also dealing with people try to do comparisons and say they have a 42.5 millimeter f1.2 like Noct Deluxe or something like that. It's Leica made, super sharp glass. I used it
Yeah.
at an event and I did some portraitures of actually this girl that I saw briefly in like 2018. And it's interesting because like if you're close, you're going to obviously blow the background out more.
Yeah.
And you see these comparisons where people are trying to show you like the depth of field comparison. You can get crazy depth of field depending
Sure.
on a sensor's minimum focusing distance or a lens's minimum focusing distance and stuff like that. So you certainly can get pretty shallow, but you're still seeing like 1.8, 1.7. F1.2 is like a 2.4, an f2.4. So it's not fast,
Yeah.
fast.
I guess what I'm wondering is if there's like if Micro Four Thirds in as a whole has options that kind of equate to something like R40 f2? Like, is there a 20 f1 that gives them that 3D pop at a distance?
There's not super ultra fast stuff. There's some manual stuff I know that gets to like 0.95. I think they have a couple like they have a zoom. I think it's a 10 to 25. It's the one that Jordan Drake likes
Mm,
to use, and I think that's a zoom at like 1.8 or 1.7 or something like that.
sure.
But that's about as fast as you're getting generally. The thing that made it really, 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 really killer was the whole Metabone speed booster thing, because the speed booster Ultra did 0.64, um, what would you call focal reduction, and people would use like the 18 to 35, which is a zoom at f1.8, and then you times that 1.8 by 0.64. So
Oh,
you're getting like a point 0.1, like a super fast, insanely sharp video lens. And people were using those combinations all the time. These really
yeah.
fast, like throwing a 50 mil 1.2 from Canon or something, the old EF class on there, and adapting, and that's how they would get there. Yeah, and I don't know OM systems or Panasonic haven't really done. Honestly, I can't really remember new glass designs in the last
Right.
5 years or something. Like they've like refreshed some of their designs and they've like,
Yeah.
you know, done one thing or the other, but I don't think they've like pressed the technology very much. Um,
Which is interesting because in the full frame world we've been in with mirrorless for a while now, we've seen lots of advancements in like what we thought were the limits of physics for this glass. They're kind of like pushing it further and further, slowly, but it's going. And it seems like I went to film school in 2016. People were using GH Force then, right? And that seemed to be sort of like where the technology could have headed for the next decade. It could have been like we could see great advancements with the smaller sensor setup, but it just seems like it stalled.
well, they had that run for, I mean, the GH4 came out in 2014. People, the earlier GH models, the GH2 and 3, maybe just the 2 or the 1, had kind of like a magic lantern situation where people found out how to shoot raw on them and they were like hacking them. So a lot of filmmakers really like that. But I think probably from like 2014 to a good pretty close to 2020, they were crushing it. But then once, like for Lumix at least, once they started actually making serious, like once the S52 came out, they were like, people love our full frame stuff.
Yeah.
And
So they just chose to like burn that momentum.
it feels like they just were like, we have the glass we have. People are adapting glass on our Micro Four Thirds systems anyway. They just did the phase detect autofocus on their GH7 and I think the G9 too. And the people who like Micro Four Thirds thought the GH7 was an incredible camera, but have you even heard
Sure.
somebody talk about it?
No.
Right. Like, and I like that stuff, and I still like none of the people that I like look for. Jordan Drake had used it a few times, but he's running the S1 II now, and he was running
Hmm.
the S5 2X and stuff. So they, it's kind of like the why doesn't Fujifilm make a full frame camera? Because if they did, they would probably just have to kill their APS-C stuff. Like you wouldn't see them producing enough things if they did it well. If they did it enough where people are like, oh, this is everything I love about Fujifilm, but it's full frame now. Wow, that's what happened to Lumix. They're like, this is all the video specs that I loved about Micro Four Thirds, except now they're cramming it on this giant sensor. They were the first people that had variable like shutter angle where you had really high 4K slow mo, like high
Mm.
refresh, 4K 60 first, 4K 120 kind of stuff. Um, Being able to do the in betweens like 36 FPS and stuff like that, 48 FPS,
Yeah.
So, but open gate, all the like really like cinema specific style shooting, they were the first to do that, and yeah, now they crammed it onto their fatter sensors, so people love it. And that's where I'm at because now I'm looking at these video projects and wanting to get serious about it again. And it's like I could like the FX line is great, like the A7S III is still awesome. It's an incredible camera, but for my storytelling and a lot of the stuff that I want to do, Like, should I just get a freaking actual video camera? Stop worrying about hybrid so much and go to something like the S1 II where I can have full control over all of my freaking colors, shutter angle again, all the stuff that I want. I can actually kit that camera out and treat it like a video camera, like I did my GH5.
You know, it's funny. I feel like Sony had at one time made a camera specifically for video somewhere along the S line,
Yeah.
maybe.
Well,
Did they forget about that?
they did. I don't think that they're gonna do a A7S4.
Oh, you don't think so?
I'm not gonna hold my breath. I don't know why they would. Like, especially now that they have an EVF on an FX body, like they're just gonna keep pushing the cinema line.
Yeah.
I really do think if they come out with an A7 V, it's gonna get as close to the specs that you would want from a video only camera without, tiptoeing on the FX4 or whatever they'll come out with next. So I would
Yeah.
I would be wildly surprised, and I probably at this point would be disappointed with almost anything they do as an A7S4, because it'll probably have incredibly arbitrary, um, you know, ways that it's protecting its other lines and
Right.
stuff. Like it just doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense. Like
Right.
it'll
I
just
mean, with
bum
the
me out.
A7 line, the A7 V is probably going to push so far ahead of what the A7S III probably was producing anyway. So you're right. How would they differentiate an A7S IV? I mean, we've got the partially stacked versus fully stacked sensor now. Like, I wonder if we're even going to see somewhat stacked sensors coming from Sony in the future. You know,
As far as I can tell, they're
they're
not
all going to
actually
be
going
good
to
for
make.
video.
I mean, or they're just never going to come out with cameras again. I can jump right into the RX1R III real quick.
Might as well.
I don't have a ton of notes on it. Really, it's everybody has said everything. Everybody was just as baffled as I was. Everybody thought the exact same things as me. Like, because I'm an A7CR user. I was like, what is this doing? What does this give you? Especially if you look at the side by sides between like the 42.5 on an A7CR and this camera.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it. It's not making any sense to me.
Right.
They kind of took some of the pop-up EVF was like a cool thing about it. Got rid of that. Doesn't have even a tilty screen for photography, which like kind of is tough for me. Like, it doesn't need a flip out vloggy screen, but I do. I'm 6'9". Like, I don't take photos standing straight up at my eye. I'm always down here or
Yeah.
Waist level shooting. So that doesn't work for me. The lens is super old, and like people say that most of the people are like, this is a great lens, because I think by all general regards it is. But I did see a couple of people that are like, no, I don't know why everybody's saying this lens is so good. It is not very good. It is an old Zeiss design. I assume focus breathing. Obviously, you're stuck at 1/2000th of a second with the mechanical shutter.
And I didn't know that that's how the leaf shutter works, where if you want to go beyond that, your aperture closes down.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that at all. That really struck me.
Yeah, it's weird. It's some quirky stuff, but like, who's like pushing past like 1/2000th of it? If we're looking at some of our old film cameras, we're not even getting anywhere close to 1/2000th of a second on
Sure,
some of
it's just like one extra weird thing to keep in mind, though.
Right. It's just a strange limitation of a $5,000 camera that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
And they I don't know, dude. It's too much just trying to do what all the people that are doing that exact camera are and not nailing it as good as those guys. They're like, well, we have one too. So I was really mad about it. And then Petapixel is reporting that it's pre-ordering like crazy. So people are going to reward Sony for this like weak ass attempt at just like continuing to make a line of cameras that a handful of people wanted at an insane price.
Jordan predicted it would be the bestseller of that line, and I wasn't really sure I agreed, but it looks like he's not wrong, and I wonder why. I would rather spend that money. Personally, I would love to explore the rangefinder medium format Fuji. You know what I mean?
If the lens wasn't so slow, I'd be into it, but the lens is slow as hell, so it's kind of a pain in the ass to me. It was DOA because they decided to keep it so small by putting what's like I think an equivalent of like an f4.5 lens on it, which is pretty brutal.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when you're talking about that kind of money, it's like and what you're doing with the camera. I question whether I need the fastest lens anyway, right? So
I
I don't
mean,
know.
yeah,
I'm not in that world, so I'm really not thinking about it that hard.
yeah.
I don't
I
know.
have a note here that says I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but man, do I wish I would have had I would have had the disposable income to actually consider this over my A7CR and 40 mm because that would mean I could probably buy a ton of other stupid things. Um, and it's just because I'm starting to see the YouTuber
Yeah.
content creator trend, which was like the Peter McKinnon era, where he
Hmm.
was like, I vlog with a 1DX Mark II. So
Yeah.
it was like that whatever that government show is where they're like, yeah, I shoot on a 1D. It's like, do you shoot action sports?
Oh,
Do you
yeah,
shoot
yeah,
birds like breaching the water? Then you don't need a 1D. It's like, yeah, but I have a 1D.
yeah.
That was the thing. And now, the X105 and all that stuff, the cool cameras like the Q, and it's like, oh, I'm like a real photographer guy, and like whatever, I have this fixed lens camera. It became the trend,
Hmm.
and for good reason. I think the trend makes sense because I think a lot of the like really hardened photographers that have done real photography work for a really long time pretty much probably had one body and a lens. Like that's how they told their stories. But
Hmm.
it just became this like everybody just oh dude, I don't know. I haven't seen any good storytelling, any good content from any of the people that like think these cameras are the best. It's all these like YouTube street photography. Like I just go outside and point my camera at stuff because I'm in New York City, and that's what you get. It's like this is nothing. This is nothing content. It's about as good as AI. Like,
Ooh.
man, it is because it's like I just want you to know that I'm shooting with like a Q3 43. I
From
just
that isolated perspective, I agree. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I'm just talking about the content creator stuff. There's people making amazing photography that you're never going to see. And
that's what I'm like.
yeah.
That's in the back of my head. Like,
Yeah,
how do we
always.
find those people? You
Right.
know, like I want to see that content.
I want to see stories, and I've been saying this forever, but and I just haven't been able to find what I mean because content creating doesn't reward storytelling. So the people that have these cool cameras and stuff, they're talking about the gear, and it's like this vicious cycle where you're just not going to get what you want from the cool storytelling and the awesome
Right.
photography because not enough people are going to watch it, so they're not going to make enough money to go out and shoot those types of things. It's brutal, and I want to figure out how to fix that. I mean, the Discord helps a ton because I think like seeing casual shooters who like are using these cameras to tell stories, and we're starting to build context around it, which exists for these people that I'm shitting on too, by the way. Like I'm being a
Yeah.
curmudgeon because I'm mad at Sony. It's really
Yeah.
I'm mad that Sony decided it would be a good idea to just jump on this bandwagon, even though this camera has been asked for by a small group of people for a very long time. But anyway,
And if you're somehow unaware, mostly this camera's getting a lot of bad press because of the price increase
right.
from what was it, $35 to $5,100,
Right.
something
So
around there.
that's pretty close. And yeah, because I just don't understand what they're doing when they took some features away and they slapped a sensor that they have in abundance because it's in several cameras. Like it's in the A7R4, R5, and A7CR. Like this sensor's everywhere. So it's
Right.
not like they developed any new anything for this. They got rid of the like point and shoot battery and put in their NPF whatever 50, which is the one on their old A series cameras, which was a dog. So
Right.
they're like, oh yeah, the new battery. No, if they put an FC 100 in it, I'd be like, oh damn, this thing's gonna be
Right.
sick.
Right.
And I mean, it wouldn't have been crazy much bigger. It would have been probably an A7CR if they did that, but
Maybe you can enlighten me. What is the percentage of like these interested people who wouldn't be satisfied by anything in the C line with a pancake lens?
it's not cool. It's not sexy. That's it. That's
I don't
the
even think this camera's sexy,
It's
you
not.
know?
It's not. And then they have like $800 worth of accessories, like a case
Oh
that's
god.
$300, a $200 like thumb, dude.
Like they thought they were Leica here.
That's what I'm saying. Like they're like,
Yeah.
and it sucks because the market made this monster. It wasn't
Yes.
necessarily Sony. They're like, we might as well do it. This is what people are going to do. And you can't
Right.
become Leica unless you start to just become Leica. Um, I just wish the freaking market would have punished them more for it. Like
Yeah.
I wish the pre-orders would have underperformed. I wish people would have waited for this thing to like go on sale. Like it's so annoying that the pre-orders are actually blowing expectations out. Why? For what purpose is this 5,000? Like in this economy, what people are blowing their money on this that gives you nothing. That's the thing that kills me. There's not like a single aspect of this camera you can't get from all the rest of their line.
Right.
And they're being rewarded by making buku money off of it for no reason. Like that doesn't make any sense. Give me anything. Give me like, oh, actually we've been working with random film developer X to make a bunch of like film recipes for this camera. We're gonna just come out
Right.
like, and you can only get it on our RX1 series cameras. I would have been like,
That
dang.
would be something.
I would have been like, dang, people are gonna buy the hell out of that.
Mm.
But the fact that it is no different than an A7CR with, I mean, sure, you can't get the 35 f2, but who cares? Like,
Right.
that camera is
But you
still
can get every other lens.
right. And I don't know, dude. I'm just gonna be a hater on it, just because it feels like
You're not alone.
it feels like the you know kid that heard the really good idea yesterday in class and came back and like did it, and he's like, "Hey guys, look what I did." It's like, yeah, we were talking about that yesterday, dude. Like, what are you sick? Um. Anyway, it's
I
annoying
mean,
and it's a bummer. Mainly because I've been literally sitting on just an A7CR, hoping that I can spend my money with Sony. Um, it's literally why I've been seriously considering keeping my A7CR and the really big lens, selling all the other stuff, and just going to Lumix because they don't try to be what they're not, and they're
yeah.
delivering what they promise and what I want from them.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Fair.
brands don't care about you. Buy the tools that do what you want them to do, and then punish them as the market for making something stupid and out of touch. But that's not going to happen because people want to
No.
bandwagon on dumb shit. So
My only question is what their expectation really was. What is their manufacturing capability, and what did they realistically expect to sell? Because they could have set the bar low and just come out and say, "Oh, it, we've the expectations were blown out of the water." Like, I don't know what your expectations were.
I mean, I'm hopeful that they slammed, like, if in earnest, all of the people at Sony that were on this project were like, dude, they've just been begging for it, and we don't really, like, we can't just make a new everything. Let's just, like, try to do our best, put the sensor that everybody likes. We know it's good. We can try to slam it in there. They've probably been working on it for a little bit. You know what I mean? They're like, we're just going to get the sensor in there. We're going to make it do the thing. And the people that really want it, we're going to make it expensive because we don't want to make a ton of these damn things. If that's the case, then I will eat all of the words that I just said. And then it's just the market being a dickhead and wanting
Yeah.
something that they shouldn't. Like, they should be demanding the things that all of the other Sony users have been saying they wanted for the last 2 years, which is an A7S4 and to update, what is now, dude. The A7 IV does not stack up to a single mid-tier camera from any other brand.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to remind me. The fact that that camera doesn't even come with the lens hood, right? Like that
Yeah,
lens on that camera doesn't come with a hood, and you have to pay hundreds of dollars for it. Is crazy.
it makes me so mad.
Crazy.
It makes me so unreasonably mad that I'm actually upset that I just talked about it for like 13 minutes because
Fair enough. We can move on.
yeah, just come on, man. I really like what I have.
I said I had not much to go back and forth on.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is disheartening.
I really like my kit. I've been really vibing on my 50 mil.
Me too.
I have my 50 mil GM, the 24 GM, the 70 to 200, the 40 f2.5, and the 200 to 600. It is like nothing's overlapping. It all does its thing. Right now, I'm still using Works A7 IV occasionally, but I'm mostly doing everything on my A7CR, and that's fine for like my photography. I think it's fun. I think the sensor's great. that's why it's in that camera. Um,
Yeah.
but moving towards actually considering these bigger projects and working outside of JagerWorks, I can't use the A7CR as a video camera. I'm not going to use the A7 IV as a video camera, especially because this isn't going to be work related. I'm not going to just like use my works kit to do other like outside work.
Yeah.
So I got to figure something out, and it sucks. I don't know. Petapixel did a video on the adapting Sony glass to the Nikon stuff.
Yep.
And I know you've been messing with that quite a bit with your 28 to 105, and obviously when you just switched over, we talked about it in pretty good length.
Mhm.
Their results were better than I expected. I don't know. Have you watched that video yet?
Oh. Yeah, I watched the video and I was I'm pretty well in line. I don't think that I just had to wonder because I noticed some performance differences between Viltrox and Megadap, and I know they didn't get to try the Viltrox, so I can't imagine they're going to have any better of a time if they get around to using the Viltrox. But I was unsure that they were getting the performance that I typically get with the Megadap and 28 to 105, but also I'm not sure that I'm putting that combination through the same paces that they were. You know
True.
what I mean? For like what they're trying to
Yeah,
check on.
like the autofocus testing with Jordan running at the camera is like that's
Right.
one thing, but like is that as important as, how the actual experience is with the lens and things like
Yeah.
that? Like,
I would say it's close enough to go, yeah, okay. I mean, like it just didn't seem like I was excited by the viability,
right.
and they seemed like hesitant to recommend it, you know? And
Well,
I'm unsure really why that is.
I have to rewatch it. I watched it kind of like it was on while I was doing other things, but I have to imagine that as a recommendation, it's hard to say, "Oh, I would absolutely go out of my way and buy this Sony glass over,"
True.
right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
because I wouldn't recommend that, right? Like I don't think that's the move. But
No, it's not a particular move I would do, but it's like if that's an option,
right.
could it happen and could you get good results? Yeah, I that's just like kind of not the language that I thought I was hearing, but maybe I should rewatch the video.
Yeah, I'm gonna as well, just to clarify my assumption, having watched a million hours of Chris and Jordan, is
Yeah.
that like their their audience is so vast and goes from relatively new users to like very experienced people that they have to kind of watch their tone when they're saying something's like really great, because
That's very true.
they wouldn't want like people that are like, well, I have like old Zeiss Sony E-mount glass, like not great Sony glass, and they're like, that
Yeah.
means I can just go get a Z6 III and I'll have like a good experience. Like that kind of user who doesn't know how to troubleshoot, who isn't like super
Right.
adept, maybe they'll have a really rough time. And
Yeah.
so you don't want to like oversell something and say that it's like epic and it's like it's so good that you can basically run this native or whatever, because it's quirky. But
Right.
people like you and I can work around quirks if it's getting us like my 70 to 200 on a Z6 III. In a pinch,
Right.
absolutely, I would probably run that for, um, content at least. But
And we know exactly what we're getting into. We know what to look out for.
right,
We know the nuances of these types of, moves you would make.
right.
So I get that. I do understand they have to be cognizant of that.
Yeah, which is pretty wild, but cool to see that testing happen, because I don't think enough
Yeah.
people are doing it. And the thing that made I was going back to it because I was like, man, maybe I should just look at the Nikon stuff. Cam Mackey, a YouTuber, are you familiar with him at all?
No.
He does like a lot of like cowboy stuff. He's got a super Western vibe. He shoots a little bit of Leica, a little bit of Nikon, some Sony, some Fuji stuff. Kind of like just in it. But he does
Okay.
like proper commercial stuff. His work's really, really good. I like it a lot. But he was doing some tests unrelated to adapting glass. I think it was like just a Z8 video or something I was watching, and he was just casually using Sony glass on it because he just happens to
Yeah.
have E-mount glass. He says, I don't want to quote him because I don't remember the exact words. He basically alludes to Sony being kind of the soulless workhorse of like it's gonna get the freaking job done if I have professional work that just needs to be banged out,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have the pizzazz, the 3D pop, um the filmic cinematic energy of all the other stuff. And that
Yeah.
was a slew of nods to a bunch of YouTubers actually, but not Cam Mackey there. But
Yeah, it sounded like a lot of different YouTubers.
yeah, that was the point. I consume too much media, but
That's okay.
it's still interesting. It keeps me in a pretty rough spot because I'm so invested in Sony in a way that even I mean your move was tough, but you weren't working with trying to move $3,000 lenses and stuff, and that's not easy right now. I can't sell.
Correct.
I can't give away like guitar gear and camera gear on Facebook Marketplace right now. So it's brutal, but
Yeah. And
my
I mean, when we're talking about the mid-tier stuff mostly, it's not like if I had, let's say, a $3,000 GM lens at the time, I would almost undoubtedly know that I'm losing something out of
yeah
that,
yeah
right? Like
yeah
at the very, very top end on a native body, I'm losing something in that move. But when we're talking about mid-tier stuff, G lenses and whatnot, I mostly saw an improvement because I went from the A7 IV to a Z8 with the camera doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
yeah
And so the lenses weren't really too much of a concern for me.
right
So that's where my, I guess, excitement about the viability came in.
right
But if I was Chris and Jordan going, am I going to recommend people who have $10,000 worth of GM lenses to do this? Probably not. And I can understand that thinking about it that way.
yeah for sure. Um, it's pretty wild. I think you did it right. You kept what was necessary to something that you literally can't get on the system, which is your 28-105, which is just still a
Yeah.
freaking super remarkable lens. I miss it often when I don't feel like changing lenses.
I
But
could tell a sad story about that this morning.
oh no,
Uh, well, I mean, nothing dramatic, but I went out for sunrise this morning, and I walked to Lake Angeline, and it's a half an hour walk. I usually drive there, especially for sunrise, because I want to be there before. But I figured I'll get the steps in, and I made a whole like a video on my phone about this as I was walking because I had thought a lot about it. But I took the ZF and the 50 on the way just to get like downtown pictures and stuff, and I did that, and I was very happy. You're looking at me through the 50 mil lens right now. I really am liking this lens. Um, and so I took a bunch of shots, and then I got to Lake Angeline, got the Z8 out with the 500, took a couple of pictures, nothing crazy, and then started walking back. And I was like, oh, I'll throw the 28-105 on for the walk back. So I did that on the Z8, excuse me, on the Z8, and I was like, if I'm gonna be not inconspicuous with the 28-105, I might as well use the better camera. And I started walking around. I was like, this just doesn't feel right. Walking around downtown, getting that like photo walk kind of experience. I put it away and got the ZF back out with the 50 mil. I was
yeah,
like, oh, this is right. This is what I was supposed to do actually for this scenario. And I
yeah.
really wanted to use the 28-105, but it just wasn't there for me at that moment. So it's finding more. I'm finding it more that I'm looking for more particular uses for that 28-105. I still love the lens, but I'm really, really enjoying the 40 and 50 primes right now.
Yeah. And I think that has a lot to do with like the level of control and sharpness from running a prime. Not having so much option. You're sitting there playing with your zooms and messing with a lot of things.
Yep, that's fair.
Like 28-105 is a hell of a range. Like
Mhm.
you can take a
It's wide to
million.
tight.
Yeah, you can take a million photos of one subject with that dang thing, and they would all be radically different. Um, and that was a little bit why I didn't love it, I guess. As a video lens, I think it's basically perfect. I think that's one of the coolest lenses that has ever come out, but it still ended up being as uninspiring to me as a 28 to or a 24 to 70, excuse me. In that it's just like this is really good. This is just good across the whole thing. I can shoot anything and everything, and it makes you not consider. It just
Right.
you snap the thing. You never move your feet as much. You're like, I can just do this. And basically it turned into when in doubt, put that thing at 105 and get a banging photo.
True. Yeah. It's like that's the lens where I could lose everything but maybe the 500 and get all the work done still, you know?
Right, yeah. Again, if I had, if I was freelancing, I would probably have a body similar to like an A7 IV, something that's just good enough at everything with the 28 to 105, and you knew that, oh man, bam, grab that B camera, only camera if it's like an easy day, and you just crush and slay. Everything would be perfect and fine.
But yeah, in my situation, just was very glad that that option was there for me, and it does work so well,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah.
I wasn't moving GM lenses to the system and trying to keep the same top level performance.
Right.
I wasn't looking at it that way. So thank you for helping me reframe that perspective.
Yeah, I think it was basically stars aligned on that. It wasn't the most treacherous thing ever. Like they weren't giving you even close, because like you weren't in the market for $4,000-$5,000 cameras to just go right into one.
No.
You had to move kit to get the Z8 and everything.
Right.
So
and it was a split type system, a
Right.
month apart. And I didn't even at the time that I got the ZF, I wasn't even thinking about getting a Z8, right?
Right.
And it just all kind of happened that way. But at the same time, I would like to see Petapixel revisit the topic with all updated firmware, with Viltrox and Megadap and some more options. I think they could do a version 2 and deep dive that more.
Yeah, I'm. That would be really cool from them. They just never strike me as like super deep divey, so I would definitely wouldn't hold my breath on it.
It just gave me the vibe that this was like oh, we happen to have this, we could push this out today and do this kind of thing today.
Yeah, I would love to see somebody like Gerald with the with a little bit of the tizzy, just like really go in and see.
He'd be
like
the one, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Very kind of clinically diagnosed.
Which is not exactly what we need in the industry right now, but it's still like we eat it up, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have a lot of time where I'm working with my hands and I'm just listening to podcasts and stuff. I have time to consume that content.
Right.
So circling back, I don't know how much I talked about the Nikon D300. The lens, the 50 mils, nice. This has been fun to play with.
Which one is that?
This is the AF Nikkor 1.8D. It's got a manual aperture. It's like kind of newer-ish. It feels like it's plastic and kind of meh, but fun to play with.
I think that predates AFS, so I think it's a little bit older.
Oh, okay, yeah, it probably is. I mean, it's probably around the era of the. I mean, it's probably pre D300 because I think they probably would have bought it at the same time. But interesting. The sensor's pretty good. Like cameras are good. Cameras in general are pretty freaking good, especially if you're processing RAW and you have a nifty 50 on it. You can take incredible images. The shooting experience isn't too terribly different from the 5D. As far as old DSLRs go, though, I still feel like Canon was leagues ahead at that era. Once you got into the later pro Nikon stuff, that stuff's incredible. Like we talk so much about how the D850 still holds up today. You could run it all day long. But I don't know what it is about like the earlier Nikon stuff. It feels like weird, almost like alternate universe. There's just something about it that like none of it kind of makes sense. Like their menu is like insane to me. Not very intuitive. It's like it's polar opposite to Canon.
Interesting.
But it was fun. I did some stuff around the shop. I did some stuff around the house, shooting the cats. The autofocus, once it's that slow, it all feels the same. Like the 5D and that kind of the same. Like not really seeing a huge difference. I'm back to center point only and just like focus recompose. Like just default into how I used to shoot. Fun practice though.
Cool.
It's fun to go full manual and know that even without the constant mirrorless like thing, I still know how exposure works and I can still basically gauge exactly what I want for my camera based off my settings. I recommend especially if you are a couple years into like a photography journey and you've lived only in the mirrorless era, find somebody with an old DSLR and play with it. It's a lot of fun for an afternoon, especially if you have like a janky old lens. Like this 50 is not very fast. It's kind of weird. It took me probably 25 minutes to realize that when putting this lens on the body, I had to put it all the way to f22 and then back to f1.8. It was just giving me like a error.
Yeah, I remember. I think some AFD lenses had issues like that.
Yeah, so and it not really an issue, but I think it's just like you had to like reset its brain so it knew that the aperture was being controlled correctly by the camera, or read correctly by the camera or something. But
Right.
it was stuck, and I was like, why can't I change? This is broken and a piece of crap. And then I figured it out. But
I'm glad you figured it out.
yeah, and just kind of a fun exercise. Obviously, I still have all my old film lenses and things like that. But
Yeah.
so outside of that, what else have you been doing, shooting, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, so I've been taking the ZF specifically out a lot. We had talked about some things on Discord about what we might be shooting coming up here. So I've already been getting a head start on that, just walking around town a lot. ZF and 40 mil has been doing it for me at work too. Like I've just been using that at work constantly. So it's been just that combo that has not failed me. And it's continuing to play with those recipes, those picture profiles. You know, Alex Armitage's film sim profiles have been great for me. I've been using those more too. So lots of that. And I took the kids camping, what, 2 weeks ago, or maybe it was last weekend. And I took the camera with me, and I said I wanted to be doing that more, taking that camera with like family activities more, and I did. And I'm so glad I did, because I actually got some images I really liked of like the kids and I just walking down the trail. It happened to be foggy. The wildfire haze compounded on top of the fog, so it was
Oh yeah,
just this like, we were camping and like in Ishpeming, my wife was like, "It's blue sky here. It's really hot." And I'm like, "We're up on top of a hill. The fog's rolling over." It was just like this creepy, eerie, interesting vibe. So I had a ton of fun. Tons of pictures of the kids and I doing stuff. And
yeah.
I'm gonna say it again. I want to keep doing that. So I'm gonna
I
manifest that.
Dude, it's so worth doing. Even the stuff that I took during like the 4th of July and everything, like it reaffirmed it. I've been saying it for a long time. Because I've seen enough people who do it and it's epic, and then you're like, yeah, it's easier to pull out the phone.
Mm. That was my mentality.
But in like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, it's like an investment mentality. We're still just like in our early 30s, so we don't have a whole lot of life context. What would bangers of the experiences I had be like from the stories I tell
Yeah.
all the time in the early 2010s? Like
Hmm.
my time in Petoskey, or like my time playing in a band. Like I don't have any images from any of that time of my entire life, because they were on like some really bad cell phone that like didn't matter and it looked like crap, so I never kept them. But now I
Right.
wish I had them with every fiber of my being. Now, if that was all ZF bangers, you're gonna cherish those, and when your kids are growing
I
up and
will.
everything like that. And
I already do.
right, yeah, because it's epic. Like it's like, oh man, I have photos of like the niece and nephews that I'm like, I can't even believe that they cooperated for 18 seconds for me to get such an adorable photo of
Hmm.
these children. Like, and then just the family out at the lake and stuff.
Like
Um,
I have one image in mind that I love that I captured. You know, we were making s'mores like the whole evening, and my son pulls his stick with the marshmallow, and the marshmallow is dripping off of the stick slowly. And the moment my daughter points and like her jaw drops and is about to tell William, "Hey, your marshmallow's falling," you could see the marshmallows barely hanging on. I clicked, I got that, and then like right after the marshmallow fell, I
yeah,
have that moment where if I didn't have the camera, that moment would be in my head, and I
right,
have that like
yeah,
forever now. I'll never
yeah,
forget it,
yeah.
but I could
It's
print it if I
right,
wanted.
yeah, it's epic. I think the thing that made me always be cognizant of it, even before like I was with Elle and I had like my extended my family, right? Because I was pretty solo dolo before that. Like I was just kind of on my own, trudging through life.
Yeah.
Um, was Chris Brockhurst, the YouTuber. He shoots a lot of Sony stuff. He does like a lot of real estate and things like that. Um, he was shooting his kids like hanging out in the neighborhood with an FX6, And it looked epic. It was like a walk
Yeah,
that he went on with his two kids, and he was just like, I brought out the FX6 because I have all this fancy gear. Why wouldn't I? And it was
yeah,
awesome. I was like, that's the
yeah.
dad energy I want. I'm hanging out with my kids with
Yes,
a freaking cinema camera because I can, just because it's
yes.
accessible and I can do that.
Hmm.
Like when my home movies are gonna look like they were shot on an RE Alexa, that's what I want.
And I'm
Um,
doing it at an age where they're like still excited, like they want to be doing it with me, or they're excited to be on camera. If I wait and suddenly start taking it out when they're like teenagers, they're probably gonna hate me for it.
right.
So I want them to be ready for it at a
Yeah.
young age and just go. You know.
Yeah, and be used to it for sure.
Hmm.
I feel that. That's super epic. There's been a couple of I guess like let's like plug the Discord a little bit because we've had some pretty
Yeah, sure.
decent conversations lately in there.
I
Um,
agree.
one of the things I jumped on yesterday, and I actually ended up texting with Zach for a little while after you guys were talking about the filters.
Yeah.
He was asking about the everyday filter, which I have been using for a little while. Um, and I think it's interesting the prime perspectives we have in the channel. It's kind of like it's four people right now for the most part. Is like the main. It's
The most conversational.
You,
Yeah.
me, Mike, and Ryan kind of like just hang out in that Discord, and it's
Yeah.
if this is all it ever amounts to, I'm not going to be upset about it because it's perfect.
Right.
But Ryan, who's like big background in the arts, like we've talked about a ton of times. We'll have him on the show eventually because I definitely want to do like an interview with him and talk some shop. But as far as photography goes, relatively new and just kicks ass.
Yes.
Makes me feel like I'm not even a photographer because
Same.
he just gets after it all the time. Um, Mike, old photographer, did journalism and stuff like that, has like the weirdest boomery perspective ever. I don't actually know ages here, but not terribly older than us or anything. So
I
it's like,
don't. I think we're all relatively the same age.
yeah, so it's kind of trippy to see like this like weird boomer take like old school gear, just use the thing that gets done, has gone through like a million D70s or whatever he
Right.
would just destroy these digital cameras doing work with them and take another one for a job or whatever. um, Kind of talking about their perspectives on this, but my filter usage is completely because I started video first. So like if you
Yeah,
didn't
that's where the difference is for sure.
so I if I didn't have an ND filter on my camera, I wasn't shooting
Right.
because especially at like the turn of the mirrorless or DSLR video shooter, the thing was, oh, you shot wide open and everything looked so amazing because it didn't look like a camcorder anymore.
Uh-huh.
So you're using, variable NDs from like 1 to 8 stops.
Yep.
And I always ran that. Um, I didn't do too much with CPL filters until like recently is when I had experience with them. I used them for like some water stuff and like
Mhm.
you can punch up the sky, especially when there was less dynamic range in your cameras and stuff like that. It was nice to have a CPL every once in a while.
Mhm.
But generally I found it more trouble than it was worth. Um, Mist filters are relatively new, and I'll get to that. We've talked a little bit about like color filters. I've used red filters for black and white stuff. Um, and it's great. It does kind of a ton for black and white photography. I know people that use yellow filters on their film cameras, but that's pretty much as far as my color experience goes. And then mist filters. So I agree with Mike's sentiment that um, because you can't undo the mist filter, it's kind of a burden. The mist
Yep.
filters of the last couple of years are quite good, where it doesn't just look like you have Vaseline on a clear filter.
Yeah.
And that's a huge difference. I think some of the cheaper ones are really brutal. I think the everyday filter is it. I think it's supposedly a 1.4, but I think it's closer to like a 1/8 mist filter. It doesn't feel like it's doing a ton. But I I sent after we kind of went a little back and forth. Ryan messaged me or texted me. This is now, or sorry, Zach texted me, and he runs a company called Sheer Revival. He's a barber. He does like hair stuff,
Sure.
and he runs an X Pro 3, which is epic, and
Cool.
he's got a 35 f2, and he was just kind of asking me some questions or whatever. So I just said, you know what, I'm going to grab my camera. I'm going to take some of his product. I'm going to go take a couple photos with and without this everyday filter and give him just a practical, tailored to what he's shooting experience. And I had a little succulent, and I had a shampoo and a conditioner that he makes, two of his products, like on a shelf with a big light, even though it was like blue hour outside. My main light source was coming from a big window. And with CPL like pretty strong and the mist, and then without. And what's really interesting, because I didn't do a back to back test like that either, is the CPL for product photography, epic. Basically, all of the succulent leaves turned green when most of them were white
Mm-hmm.
because they were shiny.
Yep.
There's a red brick wall behind it, and that actually punched up a ton. And I didn't expect that necessarily, like the light on the red bricks to change very much.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was like a maple colored wooden thing from the shelf on it. And basically, I was just going to be like, this is going to be kind of like a meh example, but it'll be a practical one. It was an incredible example because it reaffirmed why I love that damn thing.
Sure.
Um, the highlights on the bottles, it got rid of a little bit of the detail in the reflection and then just made it soft highlights. So that's both the CPL and the mist doing
Yeah.
what they're meant for in a way that I couldn't necessarily articulate until I saw it directly. Because those two features of both of those effects working at the same exact thing really made the image look awesome. And
Yeah.
I should probably throw both of those up so I can point some of that out. I didn't really want to have to edit this episode too much, but I will do that because I think it's important. Um, but yeah, it's just interesting that I think I haven't really deliberately gone into testing my filters again in a long time. I think I'm going to.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the newer ones are worth looking at if you've used filters before, maybe old Tiffins or Hoyas or something, and you're interested in more effects filters. They're quite good. And I think there's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah, I tried not to dog on that filter that he mentioned too much because I don't have experience with those combo filters like that or any mist filters, to be honest. And I know that a lot of people who run mist filters like the subtlety of like 10% or so, right
Yeah.
in that range. Like 1/8 is something that you mentioned. I would see myself exploring that for sure, especially with some of the stuff that I've been working on more recently. But my background in filters definitely comes from a more landscape, kind of like at one point I was even looking into spending hundreds of dollars on the square Lee filter systems, like
Right.
those things go hard and you can stack multiple and theoretically as many as you want, ND across the whole thing, ND grad on the top to bring the sky down and CPL so you can cut the glare. Like that's where my like foundation of knowledge comes from with a lot of these filters. And I run CPLs all the time for water and reflections and like woodland photography, right? Like you said, like taking those leaves, taking the whites of the highlights down and bringing that vibrancy back out. One of my favorite things to do is go out in the rain or just after a rain, and you still see how wet the leaves are without them just shining with white everywhere, and it makes everything look so vibrant and so, I don't know, it almost feels like you're punching the clarity up without kind of like throwing away color data, which is really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's where my foundation of filters experience comes from. So I was hoping that was coming across without sounding like, no, you shouldn't get that because I don't know. I didn't want to sound like I was dogging on it. That's all.
Yeah, no, and I don't think you were. I just think especially like they were talking about, I think the marketing for that stuff is kind of intense,
Mhm.
and it especially like the prism effects and some of those other companies where it's like effect filters. Those are, I mean, once a year you'll use something like that maybe, or
They are what they are.
if you're
Yeah.
doing like music videos, that kind of stuff's super awesome, but it's not something that like regular people are using all the time. Um, and I think
I have
polar.
one friend photographer who uses those kinds of filters often, only because they've built their entire portfolio, their creative portfolio, unlike this. multiple exposure look.
Yeah,
And so
sure.
they're always playing and experimenting, and they've kind of like that's their skill set now. So
Sure.
if that's not you, you're probably like the rest of us who are going to pull that filter out once a year, like you said.
Right, yeah. And I think there's a lot to be said for doing effects in camera and doing, especially, you kind of have to with video. So we used to always use, like, I can't tell you how many times I used an old CD in front of my lens to have like
Yep.
a crazy glary reflection and stuff like
Did the
that.
same thing with my phone, just
Yeah.
like that with
Yeah.
weddings and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always. The phone's super good. I still have a prism in my big camera box because every once in a while, like you throw that prism in front of your glass and it does the thing. Um, and it takes up no space. So I take it, it's in your bag of tricks.
Yeah.
But the marketing just makes it seem like they're like, oh, these are the best things ever, and you need this in your kit, and you don't. And Polar Pro kind of, especially because they leaned really heavy into some of the influencer marketing. A lot of people are like, dude, I don't care about Peter McKinnon. Like, get out of my face.
Right.
But they make good filters, and they're kind of premium. But I mean, how many do I can see my boxes? I think I have 7.
Mhm.
I have multiple everyday filters. I have probably 4 ND filters. I have a big CPL for my big lens because they make a coarse thread 95 mil. Um,
Yeah.
and they just are high quality and they work really
Yeah.
well.
They just happen to also be a very good marketing company.
Right, yeah, which
So it just feels like they're pushing it way harder than they need to, but
yeah,
that's their
yeah.
thing.
And there's so much to be said about that working in marketing. Like if you're kind of good, it now really good marketing feels equal to your product suffers.
Yeah,
Which is it's wild. I could talk about that for a century because I'm in such
sure.
a you know struggle bus over here at work. But
Hmm.
um, it's I I want to talk more about filters. I think I want to show what some of this does. I think that's probably a good place to be. I'd love um, for you to do some of the landscape stuff next time you're out shooting any
Yeah,
kind of landscape. If you want to try to bang out a short on how you use it for like waterfalls, water, or trees, that'd be
I can
sick.
do that.
I'm definitely going to go into some of the downsides to like VNDs, right? Like if you're shooting inside of a car, your like window tint goes this like crazy oily like rainbow
Mm,
inside with a variable ND filter, um,
interesting.
which can be really bad if you're trying to do like a short film or something. You need to account for that because you're going to try to not blow out your outside, right? But then
Yeah,
your inside is going to look kind of weird. Um, there's a lot of tips and tricks for that kind of stuff. People
yeah,
will literally flag the outside of a car and stuff like that if they have to, and it gets kind of crazy. But um, yeah, that's all I have on filters. But I thought it was reasonable enough to bring up, and just one of the many little ways where we kind of have very diverse views in our Discord.
yeah. I mean, until you start looking into that part of the industry, that market is bigger than you think it is.
Yeah,
There's a lot of filters. There's more companies than you think there are making filters. In fact, there are traditional filter manufacturing companies who are now making lenses. Have you seen Case is making lenses now?
I didn't see that. No,
Yeah, they have like
like
an 8518 that is actually solid, and the build is. I think there's a couple videos out there on YouTube you can find. It's really new, but it's interesting to me because the build design of this Case 8518 looks similar to Viltrox.
mm.
I'm just saying that. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I don't know how the manufacturers in China are with camera stuff, but I do know, working in firearms and optics, we get reached out to by some of these manufacturers who do Holosun and Sig Sauer's optics and like C&H Precision and Griffin Armament and stuff. And they have basically catalogs. And I've looked through some of these catalogs where it's like, this is the footprint, this is like the housing, this is how the housing can be customized for your company, and it's these OEM companies that do this stuff. So I
Yeah.
have to imagine, and this is across all optics in the entire industry, which is a huge business. So I have to imagine the OEMs in China also get some kind of like leeway with parts of the design.
Hmm.
And then like these OEMs will have these catalogs of components, right? So those individual components, be it maybe an aperture ring or like this is kind of one of the focus ring
Yeah.
designs we have, you can kind of piecemeal them depending on
Yep.
what your budget is for that stuff. So it wouldn't be surprising to me if there was legitimate components, um, or just directly working with somebody like Viltrox in general. But
Yeah.
yeah, the Chinese manufacturing is unlike anything America has, and if you haven't had firsthand experience with it, your mind will be kind of blown when you see
Hmm.
like it used to be synonymous with bad, but now they make almost everything, and it's just a
Hmm.
matter of how much you're willing to pay.
Yep.
Because these OEMs, it's like you can have this for whatever price you want, but we can also make it as good, if not better, than the first party market one in
Right.
America. But it'll cost probably similar because that's what those materials cost. Like
Right.
that's universal. It's not like there's somewhere in the world where like magnesium is markedly cheaper, and you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah. It's almost like a division of like pre-COVID, post-COVID, where for a while there, like during COVID, like manufacturing had to slow way down. And I almost wonder if some of these manufacturing plants in China were like, okay, if we're getting less business, the business has to do like the quality has to come up, because if people are going to pay for quality, then we might as well be doing that too. So I wonder,
oh,
and I feel like there was some of that happening before COVID, but since COVID, it just seems like manufacturing in China, like third party, seeming like first party, has really been a boom there
yeah.
for the last
Well,
5 years.
I don't know much about actual trade rules and laws and things that have happened in the last 10 years, but it's also just this technology has spun up, right? Like
Yeah,
these
sure.
their capacity has grown and their technology is insane. Like
Yes.
one of the other things somewhat related to imaging at least, um, China makes the best thermal imaging. Period.
Mm.
There's not a origin on the planet that is making currently better thermal tech. That's
Wow.
crazy. It's also very scary as far as like near peer or peer warfare goes. That's a
Hmm.
totally different topic, but like that's wild. For the longest time, the whatever NATO countries are involved in night vision, nobody could touch them. Like, and it's like France, somebody else, and us. And that was like kind of generally who was doing a lot of like night vision goggle type stuff. And
Hmm.
for those who don't know, night vision goggles is kind of like a more organic thing than it is a digital thing. Like it's actually these like image intensifiers that actually change photons. It's not digital in the way that like you would think. And China kind of only had this like really bad, I think like mid 2000s like digital night vision situation. But now they've somehow unlocked the ability to start manufacturing some of these tubes, or they got their hands on a ton of these image intensifiers, and now they're basically making like PVS 14 and dual tube night vision that's rivaling,
Yeah.
$10,000 headsets. So China's crazy.
China's crazy. We could talk a lot longer about the manufacturing rise of China, but we should end that there probably.
Yeah, that's fair. So photo sharing. We can get into this. This can
Yep.
be kind of the last big thing. I also have happened to have been utilizing my 40 mil and my A7CR for a long while. That kind of photography, I would argue, is kind of what a lot of the homies in the Discord are doing often. Um, and I can't remember, was it Mike or was it
I think it was
Ryan?
Mike.
Or, yeah, was like essentially it boiled down to, I don't have the messages in front of me, but we're doing your neighborhood, right? Is that kind of the thing?
Yep.
So your space, the space you occupy, um, intentionally vague, because whatever that means. I am going to throw in a little caveat, to maybe assist or overcomplicate the photo share in general. Um, how about we try 3 to 5 images? We can try and tell a little bit of a story, and
I like that.
I'm going to challenge each of you who want to submit to radically change kind of your point of view between the images. I don't want just like 5 street images. I want to see like some close up. I want to see
Ah.
some like wide establishing stuff. Maybe some elements of life, whether it be wildlife in your neighborhood or pets or people. Um,
Okay.
but try to tell a story and utilize kind of like the the basics of filmmaking. You have an establishing shot, you have a close up, you have a wide, you have like your main like mediums for like a the talking dialogue stuff.
I like
Um,
that.
let's do 3 to 5. Tell a little bit of story. Let us into like a little window of your inhabitants. If for some
Yeah.
reason you have a dystopian little area, your yard and your
Hmm.
space that you spend a lot of time in. But this could be your entire neighborhood. Like I live in Old Town Lansing. I'm probably gonna walk around and try to find some nice stuff and show you what Old Town kind of has the vibe of.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, do you have anything to add to that? I think that's
I've
gonna be
been doing a
fun.
lot of that already, so I'm excited because what I wasn't prepared for you to throw that little curveball in there to weave
Yeah.
a story together. So that gets me excited to get back out there again to think about that. That's cool.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. It's all stories, right? Like, but let's
Yeah.
let's let's push some of you guys to do it yourselves because it's there's some resources. Maybe I'll share some. We'll start. Let's talk about it because we're gonna do whatever our latest in August episode is. We're gonna shoot for end of August, maybe even the first week of September, depending on how our episodes line
Yeah.
up. So we got like a month. We got like a solid month to kind of talk about it. We can start kind of throwing ideas around. I'm sure between Ryan and Mike, there's a endless resource of what photo stories look like. Um,
Yeah.
and kind of their guys. They know a lot of artists. I'm not on that level where like I have, I think Mike needs to write a book or something because the just off the dome knowledge of photographers in that space is unreal. Um,
He has a catalog of references.
yeah, so it's like, oh, do you have a type of photography you like? Here's 3 of the
Yeah.
like most famous people who did that photography. It's kind of
Yeah.
sick. Um,
And he'll occasionally do these like live photo edits through Discord, and I'll pop in and will just be talking, and he'll be like, "Yep, this photographer does this photographer," and he'll drop links, and it's like, "Here's the portfolio of this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy," and
that's insane.
they're like all threaded together in theme. He's so good at that.
It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. So yeah, reach out to us and we'll get you in the Discord because it's gonna be sick. It's already sick for me. Again, if it remains unchanged, I won't be upset about it, but you should join in because it's fun. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So storytelling your neighborhood. I'm excited to see it. It'll probably end up amounting to like that'll be the whole episode. We won't get into too much of what we've been up to or
I could
whatever,
see that. Yeah.
because we'll have plenty to talk about. So. Um, you can accompany it with a blurb. You can not send anything. I don't really mind. I'm not going to tell you how to do your art. But let's try to keep between 3 and 5. If it goes a little over or something, if it's really meaningful to you, I'm not worried about, necessarily, but just to give you some kind of frame where what we're thinking.
Yep.
Um, I'm excited to see some of your guys' space. I think some of our listeners, if they participate, will be interesting. Fabian's out in Germany, and that's going to be radically
Yeah.
different than where I'm at. So I hope he joins in. A lot of our listeners are photo guys up on your end. So
Hmm.
even if it's a handful of those people, it'll be really interesting to see how those stories differentiate.
Yeah, because
Uh,
like some of these people I'm thinking about have very different styles,
right,
So I'm
and
curious about that too.
and they have a lot of like locational overlap. So
Yep.
it'll be interesting to see how those differ. So yeah, if you have, I have some other people that expressed interest. I don't think they've joined the Discord yet, but I did have some people reach out and want to join. So that's
Cool.
sick. Yeah, let's mix it up, and it'll be great. I have what's today, dude? My freaking entire life is flashing before my eyes. I
July
have
27th.
yeah, I have a couple of little photo things that I'm doing that I'm excited about. Hopefully they don't get
Okay.
too in the way um of this project, but I am looking to do kind of like video portraits. This is not the main project that I'm doing, but so I'm wondering, I'm trying to experiment with is there room in this podcast, in this photo share thing, for other camera work? Like, how can we like manipulate time? No, how can we do like a video component for like this photo share stuff? Um,
Mm.
I'd be really interested if anybody listening maybe isn't that into photo. They like the gear, they do video stuff. Um, what kind of 15 to 45 second like video portrait of your neighborhood would look like.
Oh,
Um,
that would be neat.
so
A
I
sizzle reel of your neighborhood.
I want to stay away from sizzle reel. Actually, that's really funny that it's so funny that you said sizzle reel. So I'm on this big push talking to some friends in my current industry and just marketing content in general, where because of AI and because everything's so sick, Sora and all this like generational stuff, like what is left for filmmakers? I think there will always be room for photography because like I think it's really accessible. It's really easy to make. Sorry, it's really accessible to make great photography. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy to make great photography, but it's less of a hassle than editing film. Like any kind of video is insane.
100% agree.
Um, because I mean, again, you can also just slap together a bunch of video, but it'll suck way faster than like you can you can make some, there are people that just started photography that are telling cool stories because they just
Yeah.
have the access. Um, Video is very intentional, and I think the sizzle reel vibes, high energy stuff, dude, I don't even look at it anymore. And
Mm,
that was what my industry, that's all we did was like, let's make stuff fast and cool, buy our
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So like the only real thing to like left that AI can't take from you as a filmmaker is like documentary, like storytelling with humans and not necessarily humans, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
stuff, tangible things that you can't, that exist and try to
Right.
I can make a banger. Like there's that one girl. Oh my god, she does the best macro, like what do they call it? A thirst trap for like pickles. And she was a YouTuber. She now has I'll have to link her now because if you haven't seen this girl's work, it's
I
insane.
haven't, and I don't know
Um
what I'm supposed to be picturing.
so she did it's like, oh yeah, thirst trap for pickles, and then she'll do with like one, I think it's like the 50 mil 2.8 macro from Sony and like an A7 IV or something. She'll make this beautiful, looks like a professional commercial of like
Okay.
her making a cheeseburger, and it's all this like stuff, and it's like
Gotcha.
slices, and it's this like crazy sizzle reel stuff,
Okay.
and she's remarkable at it. But that's getting so much easier to kind of generate
I see what you mean.
the clean background, the like perfect pickle spinning in the air. Like you used
Yeah.
to have to really work hard and like use strings and use like skewers and like a lot of
Yes.
masking, and it was a lot of effort to do this like really sick stuff. They would have each of the components of a burger on strings or whatever, and then they'd all
Mhm.
fall together, um and she's really really great at it. But I think that's being more accessible because of this stuff. So like if you're
Right.
not also doing it for,
Burger King's marketing department can just chat GPT that right up now.
right, they have like a bunch of stuff that makes that way way easier. And there's still a huge commercial space for that, but that's not what like content creator people that are trying to jump on social media teams for company like to get a job and then like
Right.
you support yourself. You're getting cut out of that mix. So if you can really bang out some of the traditional stuff that can never go away, light an interview effectively and cheaply, and do like, have a person tell a story. That's where it's going to
Ask
live.
great questions as an interviewer.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can't fake it.
Right.
I think that's where that's going to be money. So I'd be interested in kind of that kind of vibe.
Mm.
If anybody is doing that and is a listener of ours, I'd love to chat. Please join the Discord. There's a whole videography section that doesn't get utilized at all.
Yeah.
It's me answering Fabian's questions at the moment in
Right.
in the video section. But I'm curious to what people are doing, and I think if you do want to jump in on these photo shares, I don't know what the submissions look like, which means if you're creative enough, you can probably make the coolest submission of the next episode if you somehow
Mhm.
pull out a 15 to 45 second, this is my neighborhood.
I like that.
That could be sick. So Godspeed to anyone who just went through my entire stream of consciousness madness about my issue with Sizzle Reels, and that's where content is completely going away. I say all that to say there's so much room to tell a cool ass story in 15 seconds where it's not just like flash transitions and
I'm glad
swipes.
you took the time because I totally understand it now.
Yeah. I think there's so much like classic cinematography, get those intentional Wes Anderson perfectly symmetrical shots, get some I don't know, get gritty with it, get into some color grading, make it look epic, and make me think that I'm watching something that like Deacon's shot or something.
Yeah,
it's out there. I know some of you are way better than me at it, and I am willing to share everything I know, and I'm happy to learn anything you're willing to give as well. So that's what it's all about. But yeah, do you have anything else for us today, David?
I put out a little YouTube video, just a little one, just like a little update video, because it's been 8 months since the last one.
Oh yeah.
And I realized just how busy work has kept me to the point where all I've really wanted to do was shoot photos and not even think about doing video because I do 2 reels a week for work and I have to make more to bank on. So I'm like, you know what? I've been really wanting to get back into that. So I made one. And it's like 10 minutes or something of just like, oh hey, switch from Sony to Nikon, and here's what I've been doing this year. I threw a bunch of highlights in there. It's nothing overproduced at all. I didn't even make a thumbnail.
Nice.
I'm just throwing this up. I literally just one shot threw it up. I edited the video in like an hour and just threw some highlights up. So that's all. I do plan on coming back sooner than 8 months from now to make another one. But I got that craving, just to like I wanna hit that upload button. So I did that. Yeah. That's it.
Oh yeah. So if you prefer listening to David, not me ramble, you can also just go check out David's stuff and hear him talk, where I don't talk over him and go into madness rants all the time, because that's all I'm capable of these days.
I have a few photography vlogs. That's the kind of style I like to watch. That's the style I like to do. There's not much on the channel right now, but it's there and it'll continue to slowly grow.
Yeah, okay. Same here, but always happy to entertain what you guys want to see from us, what you'd like us to talk about, what you would like us to further elaborate on. Again, I'll say it to death, join the Discord, because you have full access to asking us whatever you would like. We both have, I have my personal up. I think, is your _David Sargent Instagram your primary, or is it just your photo one?
It is.
Yeah, those are, you can just reach us. We are reachable people. I wouldn't have my name under my face if I wasn't okay with you reaching out.
Exactly.
So, you have full access to us if you need further, information on anything we talked about. Happy to do it. That is why we do this. And it's been a blast.
Yeah.
So that's all I got for you. This is a little longer than I expected, but I also didn't think that 2 or 3 of those topics would have taken as long as it did. So
I'm thoroughly happy with the conversation.
Yeah, still mad at you, Sony. Yeah. I guess that's it. And I'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks for watching. Or listening.
You should watch, though. Subscribe.